Good day. So I'm starting to go over my videos that I just kind of speak right from my tongue straight, and I kind of want things to come out as they are. It's part of almost just showing how my truth, and my process, because you can see a lot of times in these videos that um I'm just kind of figuring things out as I go, right? So this one right here is another one of my videos that I've taken time to write something for. So I've gone through my video and then wrote something a little more, let's say, palatable. So this is a palatable version of pathological egotism versus valor and righteousness. What is the difference between pathological egotism or narcissistic personality disorder and valor, righteousness, or other such healthy ego understandings? There is an idea of the flesh being all evil and the flesh being the ego. Following that ideology completely would be the dark side of Gnosticism. Gnosticism, in the most simple terms, being knowledge, truth, and wisdom over blind faith. Obviously, it's much more advanced than that, but I'm giving you a very simple way to look at it. The creator, the all energy, the non physical realms being all good, and the physical realms, 666, which is actually 6 neutrons, 6 protons, and 6 electrons. That's what hydrocarbon based molecules, which is all living things, is pathologized and called all evil, right? A healthier way to perceive gnosis would be to know that this physical world is controlled by mostly evil. However, if we can infiltrate it, maybe we can change that. This is far from the same as saying that the physical world is something to be escaped and is completely evil. This is the classic argument a person will use when trying to witch hunt Gnostics. To acknowledge, to know, to have the knowledge of the evil in the world and still have the strength to infiltrate and to be a part of that is righteousness and valor. Righteousness and valor is royalty. Your bloodlines, cartelism, and corruption hiding behind false virtue does not make you royalty. Canada is still under the thumb of Britain because Queen Elizabeth is in bloodlines with Muhammad, not because of her righteousness. And they call themselves royalty. It is sad that we believe this nonsense. So what is valor? It is the right to it is the right to stand up tall. It is the right to hold yourself up as if you are royalty. And the respect a person with valor demands of the world is based on competence, not dominance or manipulation. Those who may never experience true valor will likely pathologize a person with valor who demands respect of the world. A great example of valor is the Knights of Templar. Some believe they were just looters and criminals hired by the Vatican. If you're on the same side of history as I am, they are known as great warriors who protected Solomonic traditions and artifacts, maybe even the Ark of the Covenant. They put their lives at risk to protect knowledge and technology that helps all of mankind, even though they could have just sold all of these artifacts for their own greed. This is valor. This is righteousness. This is what it is to be samurai. Samurai will take their own lives before living outside of their internal morality and truth. This is the hero's journey. This is what Jesus set off on when he was crucified. What does a person do if they've taken an oath to stand behind truth? And in response, everyone around them, including their families, friends, and communities, run away from them and even call them crazy. Well, that person does have connection to something divine. That's why he is pathologized. This is called envy. It is also called shadow projection. A weak person sees another living as they want to live. However, they don't believe they have the means to do so. For these weak individuals, it is much easier to pretend that they don't respect the aspects of that person and protect their own simple ego from knowing they're not as great as they could be. This is the reason why many people don't want to be involved with righteous people in art, business, relationships, or music projects. For example, a lot of people believe music and art is more nepotistic. You play with your friends, it's all about good times, and nothing much to do with competence. And yes, it is about good times. It's all about being with your friends and community and loved ones. However, when we are dealing with traditional spiritual music like reggae music, for example, we should understand that there are deep traditions that create these deep feelings in the music. Eric Clapton once said the most strict and disciplined musicians he had ever played with were the reggae musicians in some of his reggae tracks. Anytime he did something that swayed away from the traditional rhythms that are the foundation of the feel, the Rasta man behind the board would stop Eric and put him in his place. No, man, that's not how it goes. Only in the Babylon they keep the time like that. This is not a direct quote. There is an idea that music, art, and beauty are in the eyes of and ears of the beholder. This is a half truth. When singing praise music that you are sharing with multiple people, there is importance to dogmatic structures and patterns. They allow us something to unite around. With music like reggae music, it is not based on the power of the person in the band in their singularity. It is based on the divine synergy of polyrhythms, conscious lyrics, and healing melodies. Everyone plays their part in the masterpiece. It is far from the classic ego-inflating, heathenistic, meaningless, and shallow music that dominates our Western music culture. Some may say, who's the egotistical Rasta telling us how music should be? Well, maybe have some humility. You may learn something from that egotistical Rasta. Not all egotism is pathological. This may be a slight change in the definition. However, I believe narcissism is only bad if it is hurting other people or causing your life to be disorderly. So myself, I'm passionate about these traditional structures. I'm trying to be an ambassador for this sacred music. So yes, I'm strict as we are establishing feel. However, once the feel is established, the necessity for the dogmatic structure is gone. It's kind of like training a dog on a leash at first. They are going to hate it. Of course, the dog wants to be free. But when the dog is finally trained, you can replace the leash with an invisible leash of trust. This is called improv. This is what it's like to be in the moment of music. When a band can reach the skill level of being lost in the moment of improvisation, yet still connected to defined structures and feel, this is the divine unity of the musical polarities. The divine feminine being the right brain in the moment, right here, right now. And the divine masculine being the connection to time and space, keeping track of the future and past to know when to change, when to communicate based on past patterns. I know that you can obtain this consciousness through speech. This is called the logos. Using logic, reason, truth, and humility to channel teachings from the Creator. The most powerful logocentric conversations are with 3 or more individuals. This allows for there to be a devil's advocate or a creator's advocate. When embracing in the magic of the logos, playing music, or in a deep conversation, we are both learning and teaching at the same time. When a person can't allow the conversation to manifest into deeper teachings or have the humility to treat a person with set amount of respects due to their competence, then trouble arises. I recorded my first and only professional album with a band called Cold Mountain Air. All the members in the band were close family and friends. All the time none of the members at the time, none of the members in the band had ever had a professional album recorded, mastered, and published. After the finish of the recording, we went on a 7-day tour, raising within $100 of paying for the entire album release. I thought this album and tour was something to be proud of. However, because I was so strict and demanded a certain amount of respect for the competence I've earned, I got the opposite. This bothered me a lot. I spent 10 hours to each one of their 1 hour to create this album. Instead of thanks, Patrick, for building a studio and spending so much time putting these tracks together and motivating us to get out here, I get turned on by this pack of beta chimpanzees. They'd rather stick to their personas than truth and respect, and enable each other through their subjective morality. They create a moral perception together through cognitive dissonance. Our relationships have never healed from this situation. What we must remember is the people closest to us are the least likely to show us the respect we deserve or listen to any of the words we speak, regardless of how true they ring out. This is animal nature. The ones closest to you, they are your family, they are your siblings. So this is sibling rivalry. Even those in your community or town are less likely to hold you in the light that you deserve to be held in. There's a saying, a prophet is never known in his own town. And prophets are not as rare as you think. A prophet is somebody that notices patterns, connections, knows their history, and makes predictions, prophecies, based on many axioms. If a person only speaks 10 prophetic words in their life, is this enough for us to call them a prophet? At least just for the time it took for them to speak those 10 words? On a personal note and an emotional note, when I have people close to me saying that they're worried about me and claiming compassion as their virtue, when really their true virtue is their ability to ignore their own pathological actions and beliefs through shadow projection, I must choose self-preservation over compassion at this time. If anybody else in Cold Mountain Air had finished 60 songs that they wrote and recorded themselves, and over 100 other songs recorded with other people, I would hold them with the same respect as they should have held me. There are many hierarchies of competence to obtain. Why do we need to compete for the same ones? Many people will use as an insult, "You're self-righteous." What's wrong with holding yourself to higher morality and righteousness? That's what we should do, is it not? My nickname after recording that album was the Judging Jedi. Yeah, I am. Thanks. That is what the divine masculine is. He makes judgments upon himself, upon his family, and upon his community. Judgments come from justice. Why would we pathologize justice? Well, I know why. It's our corrupt legal system. In Canada, we have one of the most corrupt legal systems. Murders are getting off with stays and corruption reigns. In Canada right now, it's Orwell's 1984. Justice is 2 + 2 = 5. It's only 2 + 2 = 4 when the people in power allow it to be. Corruption is justice. Truth is propaganda. So no wonder why there's a negative connotation behind judgment. However, I believe there are judicial systems outside of our governments and our court systems. Justice is what we do in our lives, right? Is this just? Am I making the right judgment right here in this situation? You should definitely check with other people. However, if other people are contradicting my internal intuitive morality, that same voice that has led me to the understanding that I have today, I will listen to that voice that comes from the great unknown before I listen to these egotistical humans. Pathologize that if you may. However, that witch hunt you are conducting is really just your own insecurity based on the lack of meaning in your own life. So what is valor? Somebody who has an expanded consciousness and uses it for a righteous cause. In scripture, they talk about 200 fallen angels. Fallen angels is somebody who has connected to the Akashic records, to source, to God, or to whatever you want to call it. but then are corrupted and lose that connection. The fallen angels lose the connection to the source. However, they obtain secrets of the universe and the secrets of people's consciousness. And now they have the knowledge to reap havoc on the world. And that's the Dark Father. I call him the Dark Father because the Dark Mother does nothing when she should do something. And the Dark Father tears everything into pieces and into chaos when he needs to do nothing at all. If that fallen angel was still connected to Source, he would never live in the darkness. Right? So there's humility to know that we don't understand everything. And I talk about structures and how important they are. Well, also there is the subjective nature of music. So I'll put that in there too. But it's mostly based on the melody and things that are feeling. But we definitely shouldn't step outside of these structures if we're trying to do them at the same time. Well, here's an example. Is there just 12 notes in music? Not in Eastern music. If you take a note and bend it, there's potentially 1 trillion notes between each semitone. Is music just a circle from one octave to the next? And if so, there must be infinite notes. We need to be very careful when intellectualizing something like music. The more we do so, the less we feel it. We must be very careful with claiming ownership of music and art. And for any idea for that matter. Plato says all knowledge is remembered, not learned. All songs are just borrowed. Be humble enough to know these words are not yours. Sing them out loud with all your pride. The Creator blessed you with these gifts. You have the valor to show your peacock feathers. This is not pathological. This is why you have been given the gift of being a receiver. Humility is the precursor to knowledge and wisdom. The great artists know it was not their hands that created the masterpiece. They were just a puppet for the Creator. Let's pray the world chooses truth over cognitive dissonance. However, maybe we do need some people to take the green pill. Much love.